Hey there, folks. The Scottsdale Travel Chick's sidekick here to present our ultimate visitor guide to the island of Oahu and Waikiki. In this video, we'll cover all the top things you'll want to see and do, along with details on how to get there, where to stay, the best times to visit, dining and nightlife ideas, and we'll throw in some pro tips too, just to make you feel special. Okay, let's go. First up, just a bit of background on the island of Oahu. Oahu is the third largest Hawaiian island in size, and by far the most populous. Its nickname is the gathering place, and it surely is, as more than 80% of the state's entire population lives on this island alone. The state capital and largest city of Honolulu is here, as well as its famous suburb of Waikiki. In addition to the local population of more than 1 million people, the island of Oahu also receives more than 60% of all of Hawaii's tourists. That makes for a lot of people, and it also means that if you're looking to get away from it all, enjoy secluded beaches, deserted nature hikes, and a relaxing overall vibe, you probably won't find it here. It's definitely a busy place with traffic, crowded sidewalks, and a big city feel not seen on the other Hawaiian islands. But don't get me wrong, if you can get away from Honolulu proper, there are some really beautiful beaches and some great hikes with some awesome views too. You just won't have them all to yourself. Finally, just a fun fact to leave you with here. Billboards are illegal in Hawaii, so look around and you won't see any. Now, let's talk about how to get there and how to get around. There is only one international airport on Oahu, and it's about 9 miles north of the prime tourist destinations in the Waikiki area. The drive will take you anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes depending on traffic, and both taxis and Uber are available to get you to your destination, and both will cost you about $30 to $40 one way. If you have a larger group or by yourself, there's also the option of booking a shared or private van. The cost for that run about $20 per person for a shared ride and about $50 to $60 for a private van. If you don't mind a little extra time, then you can easily take the local bus on a direct route from the airport to Waikiki. It's cheap at only about $3, and it will very likely take you to within a block of your hotel. Once you've made it to your destination, how do you best get around? I'll start by saying our recommendation is to only rent a car if you have a very clear understanding of the places you want to go on your own on the north side of the island. Otherwise, there's a plethora of tourist-focused transportation choices to get you around. Oahu is really the only Hawaiian island where you can expect to see almost everything you want without renting a car. Another key point to renting a car is that parking in Waikiki area is extremely expensive, sometimes exceeding $75 a day. So with the cost of the car itself and gas, you could end up paying more for the car than you would a basic hotel. However, if you're absolutely set on renting a car, then our pro tip is to rent one from Turo at a location downtown near your hotel. Then just rent one each day you need it and return it each night, and then you don't have to pay for the overnight parking fee. This tip will save you a lot of money. Assuming you don't rent a car, then here are your many options to get around. There's a popular hop-on, hop-off Waikiki trolley which operates 3 primary sightseeing routes, along with a separate Ala Moana shopping line. The primary sightseeing routes are blue for the coastal East Island, red for the primary historical sites like Pearl Harbor, and green for Diamond Head and the downtown loop. High Bus is another hop-on, hop-off option, which is a bit cheaper, but sticks within the Honolulu and Diamond Head area exclusively. Waikiki Bike Share is another option for getting around downtown within a couple of miles. It's the local Honolulu Bike Share system, and the cost is as low as $12 a day for unlimited rides up to 30 minutes. If you're interested, check out their website for more details. In addition to this city bike share app, there are a multitude of scooter, bike, and moped rentals all over town, where you can rent by the hour or for multiple days. For getting anywhere on the island, you have the options of Uber, the local transit bus system, and package tours. Uber is Uber, so I don't think I need to explain it here, but if you want the most flexible schedule for things within about 30 minutes of your hotel, then Uber is going to be your best bet. The absolute cheapest option to get anywhere on the island is the bus system simply called the bus. The route system for this is extensive and many locals use it, so don't be afraid to give it a try. Finally, there are a ton of package tours on offer that will get you to almost every site around the island, and many tours are quite affordable for what you get. If this is your first time to the island, we'd actually recommend taking one of the Circle Island tours along with a Pearl Harbor and City tour. More on these later in the video. The best times to visit. Luckily, in the case of Oahu, you don't really need to worry about when to visit. The weather is warm and pleasant year-round, with highs in the 80s and lows in the 70s. So there's truly no bad time to visit. But if we were forced to pick the best months, we'd say visit in April and May or September or October, because there are fewer tourists, the weather is great, and it's a little less expensive during these slightly off-peak times. And if you're curious about the ocean temperatures, it's always around 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, so you can swim comfortably in either July or January. And one more point about the weather. Like all Hawaiian islands, there is a windward side of the island and a leeward or less windy side of the island. Here, in Oahu, there's not a big difference in the summer months between the two sides, and all beaches around the island are swimmable and great. But in the winter, the north and east sides of the island, or the windward side, become very windy and huge waves develop. That's why places on the North Shore, like Banzai Pipeline, are world famous. Okay, let's now talk just a bit about where to stay. There are basically three main areas, with the top one certainly being Waikiki. In fact, Waikiki is the largest and most dense tourist area in all of Hawaii. Waikiki is a southern Honolulu neighborhood facing the beach, and 90% of all of Oahu's tourist lodging options sit within this small 1.5 square mile area. And there's a good chance if you're coming to Oahu, you'll be staying in this Waikiki area. Ko'olina, 30 minutes northwest of Honolulu in the airport, is the next most popular area to stay. It's a large master plan community with high-end golf courses and 4 man-made lagoons. There are 4 or 5 high-end resorts here, like Disney's Aulani Resort, plus many VRBO options. Finally, the third area to consider staying is up on the North Shore. There's only one nice resort here called Turtle Bay. Otherwise, everything is smaller and more laid back. Anywhere on this North Shore area will give you a much different rural island feel compared to the leeward side of the island. Overall, though, no matter where, one thing to note about all the hotels in Oahu is that they'll add hefty taxes and very likely a large resort fee. So take that into account, and your real cost is often $100 or more than your originally booked rate. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get to the top things to see and do on Oahu. I'll group everything into 3 main areas which you can consider independently: the Honolulu Waikiki area, the East Island area, and the North Shore Loop. First up is Honolulu and Waikiki. The number one thing to do here, of course, is to hit the beach. That's what Waikiki is famous for, right? In total, Waikiki Beach is more than 2 miles long, but it's actually 8 independently named beaches strung together. But I won't bore you with the details here. I'll just say the central Waikiki area is the most crowded and action-packed. So if you want to be where all the action is, you'll want to be there. Alternatively, if you want to minimize the crowds and the chaos just a bit, then head either to the north or the south ends of the beach. People watching and sunsets are great activities here, as well as working in some beginner surf lessons. But just keep in mind, there are plenty more beautiful and less crowded beaches elsewhere on Oahu. One of them is Ala Moana Beach. It's the next closest beach, and it's just 10 minutes north of Waikiki. It's perhaps the best beach in the overall Honolulu area, and it's more of a locals beach with a nice long sandy shore and a natural reef protecting it from any big waves. Beyond the beach itself, there are many things to see and do around the 2 to 3 block depth of Waikiki town itself. If you like shopping, you can't get any better than this in all of Hawaii. Waikiki is loaded from high-end designer shops all the way to tons of local knick-knack and souvenir stores. You'll find them all here. And check out some of the classic hotels and their stories here as well. 2 of the best are the Moana Surf Rider, which is now a Westin hotel, and the Royal Hawaiian Resort. Both have tons of history going back more than 100 years. The 500-acre Kapiolani Park on the south side of Waikiki is also great for a stroll. And here you'll find the Waikiki Aquarium, as well as the Honolulu Zoo. Plus, the best snorkeling in Waikiki is just off the beach here called Sans Sochi. Overall, Waikiki is filled with some great places to people watch, dine out, and take in some casual nightlife. More on a few of our recommendations later in this video. In terms of nearby Honolulu sites, you have a few to choose from. A uniquely Hawaiian site is the Iolani Palace. Fun fact, it's the only royal palace on American soil. Built in 1882, it had electricity and running water before the White House did. Guided tours are available daily. Nearby this palace is also the famous King Kamehameha statue and the scenic Honolulu Courthouse building used in the show Hawaii Five-0. 3 more sites worth a look in Honolulu are the Aloha Tower, which is a retired 1926 lighthouse on the harbor. It's considered one of Hawaii's top landmarks, and the bonus here is there's some nice shopping and dining in the plazas nearby. Historic Chinatown is also worth a look with its unique architecture and great food from Vietnamese to Chinese to Hawaiian and everything in between. Finally, the Kaka'ako neighborhood and its street art is worth a stop. Visit this redeveloped area for local restaurants, breweries, and an evening out with dinner, drinks, and walking the murals. Spreading our wings just a bit more, within a 30-minute drive of Honolulu Waikiki, you have even more sites to consider. The biggie here is Pearl Harbor. It's just north of Honolulu, and it's the top site to see on this side of the island. Entrance to the main park is free, but reservations are needed for the boat ride out to the USS Arizona Memorial. Be sure to book those in advance, or simply take a group tour, which will take care of everything for you. Other areas here, like the Submarine Museum and Ford Island with the battleship Missouri, will require additional fees. If you want to learn more about Pearl Harbor and how to get the most out of your visit, check out our mini guide just on Pearl Harbor. Search Pearl Harbor, Scottsdale Chick. And on your way back from Pearl Harbor, there's another military site you may want to consider. The National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific. otherwise known as Punch Bowl. It's a solemn and beautiful place built into the caldera of a dormant volcano. And pro tip, no tour buses or shuttles are allowed to stop here. So if you really want to experience this place, you'll need to do it on your own. And a second pro tip, in the memorial building here, there are some really detailed maps on a year-by-year and battle-by-battle progress across World War II. They're really worth checking out. Finally, I've got two very popular hikes for you to consider close to Waikiki. First up, just south of Waikiki, is the famous Diamond Head Crater and its summit hike. This iconic volcanic crater is visible from anywhere on Waikiki Beach, and the top offers up incredible panoramic views out over Honolulu in the Pacific Ocean. The 0.8-mile hike to the summit is short but challenging, and it's a tourist favorite. Gates open at 6 a.m., so it's a great option if you're up early due to some jet lag. But note that advanced parking reservations are now required here. Just a bit further away, but still a short taxi ride, is Manoa Falls and Lion Arboretum. They are right next to each other, and both are free, but require paid parking. The Manoa Falls hike is extremely beautiful, but also extremely popular, so be prepared for crowds, but the hike itself to a 150-foot waterfall at the end is really worth it. Lion Arboretum next door is our actual favorite place to hike because out of everywhere we went, this was the only place we found time by ourselves without other crowds. And there's another waterfall hike here that's less than 20 minutes and well worth your time. Last but not least, the final site I have for you nearby Honolulu and Waikiki is not a hike, but a lookout called Tantalus Lookout. It's a windy 6-mile drive up from Waikiki, but it brings you to the best views anywhere out over Honolulu. It's definitely the place to come for sunsets, and in general, the most amazing views out over Waikiki and Diamond Head. Next up are the sites along the eastern coast of Oahu. Most of these will require booking a tour or renting a car. I'll cover the sites in this area in a counterclockwise manner as you might do on your own day trip. Snorkeling at Hanauma Bay State Park is first up. This protected marine ecosystem is great for beginner snorkelers and home to over 400 species of fish and marine life. But due to overuse, attendance is now limited and you have to book a reservation and pay a fee in advance. Making a stop here is up to you, but our pro tip is really to skip it as it's still overcrowded and the reef is heavily damaged. There are other great places elsewhere on the island. After Hanauma Bay, there are two scenic overlooks you'll come to, Lanai and Halona. Halona Overlook is the better of the two, but stop at both if you have time. And a pro tip, you can walk down to a small beach called Eternity Beach below Halona Lookout. This is where a famous 1953 movie was filmed called From Here to Eternity. The waves are big, but if you have the guts, you can go for a swim. And you might even get lucky and see a monk seal here like we did. Nearby these overlooks is another popular hike called Cocoa Head Crater. It's not an easy hike, but it's a cool one where you'll climb up more than 1,000 railroad ties to get to the top of a volcanic crater with amazing 360-degree views in all directions. Continuing along the coast road, you'll pass a number of gorgeous beaches. Stop at any or all of them, but make sure to stop and check out the historic Makapu'u Lighthouse on the southeast tip of the island. It offers unparalleled views of the rugged coastline, and the 30-minute walk to the top is relatively easy with paved paths and stairs. And as an added bonus, this is a great spot for whale watching during the season. Among the many beautiful beaches you'll be passing in this area is one called Waimea Beach. This is the best walking beach on Oahu, and it's over 3 miles long. Continuing at the beach choices you have in this area, Lanikai Beach near the town of Kailua is another one and often rated the best beach on the island and one of the best in the world, with its soft white sand and views of the Moke Islands just offshore. And bonus here, you can rent kayaks and visit those islands yourself. A top hike nearby is also Lanikai Pillbox Hike. It's a short but steep hike which takes only about 25 minutes each way, but leads you up to World War II pillboxes that were once used for U.S. coastal defense. Great views in all directions. Now, from this Kailua town area, you'll begin to make your way back towards Waikiki, but there's one more site worth considering just a bit north before you head back. The Biotuan Temple is nestled at the base of lush mountains, and it's a beautiful replica of a 900-year-old Buddhist temple in Kyoto, Japan. It's open daily from 8:30 to 4:30, and you can explore the grounds, the reflecting pond, a 9-foot Buddha statue, as well as ring a 3-ton Japanese bell for good luck. After the temple, if you decide to see it, you'll now turn around and start heading back toward Honolulu. And on your way back through the mountain pass, consider a stop at Holomaluhia Botanical Gardens. These are the largest botanical gardens in the state of Hawaii, and best of all, they're free. You can drive through the expansive park and stop at many parking lots where you can take multiple short hikes and explore. The final stop on your way back to Honolulu should be the Pali Lookout. There's some very interesting history and storyboards here, as well as nice views back towards Honolulu. There is a small parking fee, but it's still worth the stop. And pro tip, this is the windiest place on Oahu, so be prepared.
The most windiest place on the
island. Next up are all the top sites on the North Shore, but before I get there, just a quick shout out here that if you're enjoying this video, please give us a thumbs up and maybe a comment too, or better yet, forward this to some of your friends. And please consider subscribing to our channel for more fun, informative travel videos just like this one. Okay, let's get to the North Shore Loop. Finally, our final sightseeing section here is what I'll call the North Shore Loop. Everything has a different, much more laid-back feel on the North Shore, and it's about an hour to get to your first site. And that is the Dole Pineapple Plantation. It's one of Oahu's top sites and great for families. What started way back as a roadside fruit stand is now a large tourist attraction billed as Hawaii's complete pineapple experience. Among the attractions here are a pineapple variety garden, a 2-mile train ride, and the Pineapple Garden Maze. Not to mention, you get to taste the famous Dole Whip here. We definitely recommend making a stop. Driving a bit further, you'll now come to the North Shore's official starting point, Haleiwa Town. It's not big, but it is the primary town on the North Shore. Take a quick stop to check out the food trucks here and a few cool shops, along with the famous Matsumoto's Shave Ice store. Then, just beyond Haleiwa Town, you'll come to your first beach, Lanikai Beach, sometimes known as Turtle Beach. Stop by and see if you get lucky like we did. 2 turtles here, and then there's 1 or 2 right out in the water. See one there. After this beach, you'll pass so many more beaches that I can't cover them all. I'll touch on 3 or 4 here, but just know there are dozens. First up, and perhaps the most famous on the North Shore, is Waimea Bay. It's a fantastic beach to spend a day at. It's awesome and popular and has a unique bonus feature, the Waimea Cliff Jump. It's basically a huge lava rock jutting out into the bay where you can watch people taking a dive. How about you? Will you give it a try? Just across the street from Waimea Bay is Waimea Valley Nature Park. If you love waterfalls, botanical gardens, and history, Waimea Valley is one of the top sites on Oahu, but it's not cheap. So check out their website to learn more, waimeavalley.net. Sharks Cove and Three Tables beaches are up next, and they're also top destinations on the North Shore. They're right next to each other and are a snorkeler's paradise, with clear waters and abundant marine life. Swim among colorful fishes, majestic sea turtles, and even an occasional reef shark. Here is one of the sea turtles I got to bond with. After this beach area, you'll quickly come to Banzai Pipeline and Sunset Beach area. In the winter, this area is famous for some of the most gnarly surfing in the world. But in the summer, it's pretty tame, and Sunset Beach has one of the biggest and most enjoyable beaches on Oahu. And pro tip here, there's also a 3.5-mile bike path running from Waimea Bay to Sunset Beach, and it's a great way to spend a day exploring the hidden spots that you can't necessarily see from the main road. After this, there are 3 more primary sites to see along the North Shore. The small Kahuku town and their food trucks are up next. It's a nice place to stop for lunch with a mini food truck park consisting of about 10 food trucks together. After this, your final sites are about a 10-minute drive further down the road. Laie Point Sea Arch is first. Beware, there's not much parking here, but it's a great stop to check out some raw North Shore coast and see a rare sea arch in the close distance. Your final stop is the famous Polynesian Culture Center. Along with Pearl Harbor, it's a top attraction on Oahu. It's typically done as part of a larger day tour, and it's known for its luau dinner, but it's much more than that. Check out their website for more details. These 2 sites basically complete the North Shore Loop. So from here, you can continue to drive the North Shore Loop and see some of the most rural areas on the island, or you can turn around here and come back the way you came and catch up on any of the sites you might have missed along the way up. Okay, that more or less completes all the top tourist sites on Oahu, but I'm not done yet. I want to give you just a few tips on the top day tours, as well as some dining and nightlife ideas. There's no shortage of tours you can take on Oahu, but I'd boil them all down to 4 ideas for you. Number 1 is a Circle Island tour. This tour is typically a long day, but it will cover many of the sites I mentioned on both the East Island and the North Shore. But be prepared for a fast pace and a long day. Nonetheless, if you don't want to drive or rent a car, these are a great choice. The second recommendation I have is a combination of Pearl Harbor and Honolulu City tour. There are many choices to choose from, and you'll cover a lot of things quickly. The good news here is it's a shorter day than the Circle Island tour. The last 2 ideas are also very popular and worth doing with a tour provider. One is the Polynesian Culture Center I mentioned earlier, and the other is some type of water-related tour. Either a sunset or dinner cruise, or maybe a whale watching tour, or snorkeling with turtles. No matter what you pick, getting out on the water and looking back onto the island is a really nice treat. Our last section here is just a bit on dining and nightlife. And first up, a quick overall tip is that restaurants fill up quickly during the season. So even though you might not normally do so, it's important to make a reservation in advance at almost any reasonable restaurant. Most of the classier restaurants are somewhere along Kalakaua Avenue and its related hotels. If you want some options with a little more local flavor, then head 1 block inland and check out the choices along Kuhio Avenue. Kuhio Avenue is also home to most of the city's bars and nightclubs. Two somewhat divey places that we liked are Lava Tube and Kaku Coconuts. Kaku Coconuts also has live music every evening from 7 to 10 p.m. If you've watched any of our other destination guides, you know we like to seek out local cheap eats kind of places. But believe me when I say there's nothing cheap anywhere in Waikiki. However, I do have one secret tip for you. If you'd like to try a really local open-air cafe directly on the beach with live music and some of the best sunsets anywhere in Waikiki, then consider the Barefoot Beach Cafe. I doubt you'll hear this option from anyone else, and I'm reluctant to give it away, but I'm going to do it here for our followers. You're welcome. Finally, did you know there are free fireworks every Friday night near the Hilton Hawaiian Village? They start at either 7:45 or 8 p.m. depending on the season. So just head out to the beach nearby and enjoy. Well, there you have it, folks, our ultimate visitor guide to the island of Oahu and Waikiki. We hope you enjoyed. Did we miss any of your favorites, or do you have a special tip you'd like to share with others? Please let us know in the comments section below, and please consider subscribing to our channel for more fun, informative travel videos just like this one.
Until next time, see you later.